On a Thursday, I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show. Day 6. Carolina Hurricanes. No GM. Again, it's the same thing as yesterday. It feels like we're lost at sea, and the captain is taking the captain's log, right? Captain's log. It's been 6 days. We've been yet a leader. Hoping for some type of influence to be sent to our way. The Canes don't have a GM, and the panic is not setting in yet. I don't believe any opportunities have been missed. I believe they have a temporary structure, interim GM Eric Tolsky and everybody else to handle the day-to-day, right? They can handle the minor league contracts. They can handle the prep for the draft and organizing tape and things like that. The real decisions don't have to be made yet. But we're not far from panic, right? We said yesterday, a week from yesterday. So we're 6 days. 6 days from why the heck don't you have a GM? And it's time to start looking at the reasons why you might not have a GM. One is Tom Dundon, the owner of the Canes, might just be taking his time. Right? This is an important decision. You don't want to be doing it again next year.
Yeah, why rush it?
Talk to everybody, right? Fully vet the resources. You hear about it with draft prospects. It's like, go talk to their middle school janitor and see how they used to treat the janitor and if they thanked them when they opened doors and all that kind of stuff. So do what you got to do to find out if you like the GM. But has anybody thought if maybe GMs might be hesitant to take the Canes job? Is it truly just Tom Dundon choosing who he wants, or might he be turned down a time or two? Might somebody with options go, you know what? I'll wait. First of all, and I mean this seriously, and I say this about every single head coaching job in a pro sport, even like a power conference head coaching job, there is a certain amount of attractiveness that all the GM jobs have in the NHL because there are only 32 of them. And there's no guarantee if you turn down one this year, there's going to be one waiting next year. You see it with coordinators in the NFL sometimes. A coordinator will go, no, thank you on the head coaching job. I want to stay here.
Ben Johnson, Detroit Lions.
But then occasionally the next year, like your offense goes, wheels fall off, and now all of a sudden, not only are you not a head coach, you're flirting with not being a coordinator anymore. Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
Right? Taking head coaching interviews and suddenly Mike Kafka. Taking head coaching interviews and suddenly can't get a job. So that's why there's only 32 head coaching jobs, 32 GM jobs, and if one becomes available, it is going to be attractive. Second of all, on its surface, the Canes job is awesome. Right? If you just look at like the bones, right? When I was looking for a house, my realtor said 5 things. He said kitchen, bathrooms, air conditioning, roof, windows. He said if those 5 things are all good in your house, probably a pretty good buy, right? You can fix up the other stuff, you can do other stuff, but those 5 things: a good roof, good heating or HVAC, air conditioning, heating, good kitchen, good bathrooms, good windows. You can work with the rest.
Yeah,
right?
You can paint. That's easy.
That always.
You want to change carpet? Cool.
Oh, we were HGTV people for a while. We'd watch all the love or list, flip or flop, fixer upper, all that kind of stuff. It would frustrate me beyond all belief when a couple walks into like their dream home and they're like, "Oh my gosh, the color! The green walls are just—they're not. It's not sitting well with me." I'm like, the paint. It's like $100 in paint. Just relax. Take a weekend, paint. Anyway. Got me good. That's, in case you can't tell, that's one of my pet peeves. It's like, well, I guess we'll take the one with the kitchen we don't like, the smaller backyard, and it doesn't have a basement even though we really want one because we just can't take the other one with the blue walls. I'm like, what are we doing? On its surface, if you just look at the important things, coach, best player, ownership, winning culture. If you like, that's like the main, that's the HVAC, the roof.
Farm system.
Yeah, farm system, exactly. Canes are very, very attractive.
Oh, very much so.
They have all of that in a line. It's new HVAC, new roof. It's all right there, fresh, ready to go, locked in. You got Rod, you got Aho, you got the winning culture. But here's where the hesitancy might come, right? Here's where if you're somebody with options, if you're a hot rising executive that is well thought of in the league and you're thinking, are the Canes the one I want to take my chance at, right? Are the Canes the one I want to go all in on being the GM at? Here's the hesitancy. There is no easing into this one. There is no growing pains that will be accepted. You either win in a very, very big way or disappointment will set in quickly. You know, Don Waddell leaving the Canes and going to Columbus? Has anyone thought this? All right? We're just spitballing here. We're amongst friends, right? You're not going to run and tell everybody I said this. Has anybody thought that Don Waddell might have been timing his exit? I think it might be very difficult to be better next year than the Canes were last year. Right, you look at we've been obviously talking around the office. We're a sports brand about the Canes, and there's this list of the best free agents available on the Athletic, and it comes out to like if you the players you want back for the Canes, that averages a bunch more money than you have available in the cap. Players are going to leave. You're not going to have the same players back on the roster, not because you don't want them back, because you can't afford them back. And that's even if you get deals done with the Martinooks and the Chatfields and some of the guys that maybe won't break the bank but are still due for new money. The reason why the Canes job would scare some away is because if you don't win a cup, it's a disappointment. And there are some reasons to believe that they might be worse next year than the previous year, and most of those reasons are salary cap reasons, but still. So now let's say they take a step back. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying they missed the playoffs. I'm just saying let's say they take a step back. Maybe for the first time in 3 seasons, they don't win 50 games. I'm not wishing it. I'm not hoping for it. I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying maybe. If that happens, who do you think they're going to blame?
GM.
Yeah, it's not Rod because Rod's proven he can win. It's not the roster because the core proven they can win. It's the new guy. Right, everything's the same except for him, even though the roster will be different just on levels that maybe the casual fan won't notice. They'll be like, yeah, Aho's still here, Svech is still here, Jarvis will be back. Slavin's not going anywhere, Burns will be around. It's like, yeah, a lot of it's the same. Rod's still here, Dundon's still here. Suddenly you show up and you win 48 games. Most franchises out there would be like, hey, we won 48 games. Canes are, first time in 3 years, 4 years, we haven't had 50. That's where the hesitancy comes from. And as a GM, I say this about coaches, say this about GMs. If you have a 3-year solid run to start your career, you got jobs for the next 15 years. Right? If you win, if you do well, if you're seen as positive in your first impression, your first 3 years as a GM, even if you get let go from the job you're doing now, you'll get retreaded around the league a few times because that first impression is he knows what he's doing. He's won some games. Your career win-loss record will be high. So it's like, all right, yeah, we'll give you another shot. However, there's a lot of people throughout history that struggle early and never get a second chance. So you need to choose where you go the first time you take that big job very carefully. So there is a possibility where this search for the Canes GM is not just we are the most attractive person looking for a date at the prom. And we just get to go through the hallways going, maybe you, and then they say yes. It's not just that. It might be, you might have to do the old school prom thing, right? So are you going with anybody? Let me check. Would you be interested? And are you planning on going? Would you be possibly interested in? You got to do that whole deal to make sure that they're as interested in you as you are with them. All GM jobs are attractive, but the ones with options, meaning the GMs with options, well, they're gonna use those options, right? They're gonna explore.